are here because the outside world rejects you. This is your family.
So many of you have probably seen the name for the next big Ninja Turtles story out there. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Armageddon game. I've seen in some comment sections here on the channel that some people think it's a video game, but that is not the case. This is actually the next big story for the IDW Comics version of the TMNT, the comics that have gone past 100 issues and are still going. This next story has slowly been building up over the years, and for some who have never jumped into the comics, I feel like it might feel a bit overwhelming or intimidating to all of a sudden jump in and check out this Armageddon game story that they're coming out with. But here's the thing, I feel like this event is going to be a big deal for the Turtles, and it would be a shame if any Turtle fans were to miss this. So today I want to go ahead and break down as much as I can for you that's currently going on in the comics, that way you can jump into this next Turtle story with a decent understanding as to what's going on and not feel lost. Now, there is a lot going on here, and with that said, I just want to give a warning. We'll be discussing many spoilers for the ongoing IDW Ninja Turtles comics. So yeah, spoiler warning. And also just a disclaimer, there has been so much that has gone on up to this point that there's no way we're going to be able to hit every single detail. But let's do our best to touch on some important story points to help you as much as possible. Let's waste no more time and go ahead and jump on in. That way you can jump into the Armageddon game when it comes out later this month. So as of right now, what we know about Ninja Turtles the Armageddon game is that it's going to be an 8-issue event involving the IDW Comics version of the Ninja Turtles. Although there seems to be a little more to it than just the 8 main issues, which I'll break down at the end of the video. We know that Ninja Turtles the Armageddon game #1, or the first of the 8 issues, is set to come out in September. A lot of websites currently have it as September 28th for the release date, so not much longer now. Now, leading up to that first issue of the Armageddon game, over the past couple months, they have been releasing some prelude comics setting up this event, and this started with the Armageddon game pre-game comic a couple months ago. Let's break down what this pre-game comic was about. So what the pre-game comic was some sequences from past comic issues that have come out over the years involving the Rat King, an enemy of the Turtles, a trickster. He appears to be the central villain of this upcoming Armageddon game event. For those who don't know, this version of the Rat King comes from the Pantheon, a family of 8 powerful divine ancient beings, siblings, each possessed with diversely unique powers and personalities. The Rat King thrives on chaos. One major thing of note is that throughout Earth's history, he and his family seem to have been playing a supernatural game of conquest, with each one of the siblings making a move every so often, trying to one-up each other, manipulating and controlling the lives of others in order to create events in their favor. It is said that the winner of this game will rule over all, and it appears if Rat King wins this game, he will turn everything into chaos the way he likes it. Now, he believes now is the perfect time to strike and renew this ancient game that they've been playing, this time calling it the Armageddon game. You see, something you should know is that his siblings have all pretty much stopped playing the game after so many years of going back and forth. They see it as zero-sum and pointless, and they're off doing their own thing now, so he really has no competition at the moment. Also, around issue 100 of these comics, a mutagen bomb went off, mutating a large portion of the population in New York, and now the mutated have been walled off and quarantined in a section of the city called Mutant Town, so the city is divided and people are scattered. And also, Splinter died around issue 100 as well, and so the Turtles, who are one of the Rat King's biggest obstacle in all this, have no guide at the moment and are sort of aimless. So the Rat King sees this as an opportunity to win the game once and for all, and so he recruits a team of 3 others to join his cause. First up on the team, we have Krang, who was recently eaten alive by Leatherhead. As it turns out, the type of species Krang is, a neutron, are parasitic in this version. So instead of getting digested, Leatherhead has been slowly taken over by Krang, and now Krang sits in Leatherhead's abdomen. Next on the Rat King's team, we have Baxter Stockman, who has recently become the mayor of New York and is the one who declared a quarantine zone in the city, which now is known as Mutant Town. And the last member of the team is someone called Madame Null, who is the CEO of the Null Group, a business conglomerate with its hands in many ventures and ties to other dimensions. She has been the antagonist in some past stories, but she's kind of a mystery still, and her exact nature is still ambiguous. Even the Shredder doesn't know what to make of her yet. Now, after the pre-game comic came out, there was a couple more comics that lead into the Armageddon game 8-part event. Those comics are called Armageddon Game Opening Moves Part 1 and Part 2. We learned some more info from these books as well, and also from the regular numbered ongoing Turtles comics. Let's take a look at some of that stuff. Now, you see at one point, Rat King tried to recruit Shredder to this evil team. Now, for those who have never read these comics or are just jumping in, Shredder was already defeated and killed in this comic, way back around issue 50. And as we mentioned, this comic series has gone past 100 issues, but you see around issue 100, he was resurrected by Splinter, who sacrificed himself in the process. You see the two had come to be friends again, while Shredder was in the afterlife, where Splinter was able to communicate with him somehow, and so the two's friendship had been rekindled. In this version of the Turtles, the two were friends many years ago in Japan before they became enemies. So yeah, because of this, Shredder declines Rat King's proposal to join this team of bad guys and instead warns the Turtles of the impending doom. Also, in the opening moves comics, we see him spying and collecting info on Krang, Baxter, and Madame Null. Now, when he brings this news to the Turtles have other allies there, and a lot of the group still have a lot of resentment towards the Shredder because of his past actions. And in fact, one friend of the Turtles, Alopex, a mutant fox, ends up leaving the team because of this. But Leonardo seems to believe the Shredder, and so the Shredder begins teaching the Turtles new techniques, mystic techniques as well, to help combat the upcoming actions the Rat King and his allies have planned. Shredder has pretty much become the Turtles' new master, which is pretty crazy. Never thought we'd see that. One interesting part about this training is seeing that Leonardo will have to confront Dark Leonardo, a bad alter ego version of himself that he once became back in the early issues of this series. It was a pretty traumatizing event for him, but Shredder says that that dark alter ego still lies within Leo and that he has to learn how to control it and harness it. So it looks like Leonardo will have some pretty badass moments in this Armageddon game once that happens. I wonder if there'll be a point in the story where he goes full Dark Leonardo mode with the old suit he used to wear and stuff. That would be pretty cool. Now, this story is a big event for the IDW Comics Turtles, so elements from the Armageddon game are definitely gonna have to, and already do, bleed over into the regular numbered comics, the ones that have gone past 100 issues. Now, the same is true the other way around. There's situations currently going on in the numbered comics that are gonna be a part of the Armageddon game from some of the things we have seen. Real quick, here's some of those situations that I think you should know about, that way you know what's going on. Remember Venus from the Next Mutation show? Well, recently the IDW comics have introduced their version of the character, and it's a pretty dark story. She hasn't really done much yet, as when she was introduced, she was literally being put together, Frankenstein style, by some creepy doctor. We know that she has the ability to use some type of mystic powers, and the little bit we've seen on her backstory is pretty interesting. We'll cover it more in a separate video as it unfolds, but expect her to show up at some point in the Armageddon game. Now, the same doctor we've seen putting Venus together can also be seen creating clones of the regular Ninja Turtles for one of his clients. I believe the client has been hinted at being Madame Null. They actually had the recent free comic book day issue of the Ninja Turtles dedicated to these clones, but we don't know much about them yet. By the looks of things, there are 4 of them. They wear white bandanas, and they share the same names as the regular Turtles, but the weapons are all mixed up, with their version of Raphael using a bow, Michelangelo using swords, and so on. Recent covers of new issues of the Turtles and the upcoming Armageddon game have been shown off, and we can see the clones on these covers in full display. So I think it's safe to say these Turtles will be involved as well somehow. So many Turtles. They should do a Turtle Wars arc at some point with all these Turtles around now. Many fans have already learned about the yellow Ninja Turtle, Jennika, that was introduced a while back. But just in case you haven't and end up wondering who is that yellow Ninja Turtle, well, that is Jennika. She was actually a human before, an assassin. She was turned into a turtle due to some blood Leonardo gave her when she was dying. It'll be interesting to see how her story develops in the Armageddon game. One thing that keeps getting teased in photos for the Armageddon game is the Nova Posse. We haven't seen much about them yet in this version of the Turtles, but I do expect them to be a big part of the story from how much they're showing them lately. We do know that they're a throwback to the Nova Posse who appeared in the 80s, 90s Ninja Turtles Archie comics, and in that they were a resistance movement in Dimension X, and the little bit we've seen of them here in this version of the Turtles, they seem to have a similar backstory. They appear to be very capable fighters and also coming from Dimension X. So this next character is active in the regular Turtles comics at the moment. So other than Krang, there is another evil Utrom currently involved in this version of the Turtles, and that's Chirel. Yes, the same name as another evil Utrom in a different version of the Turtles that some of you may remember. But yes, both he and Krang exist in this Turtles universe and have worked together in the past. Anyways, not to get too much into the details, which would require its own video, he's currently at a nearby island causing mayhem, and recently a Triceraton just escaped that island, and it looks like those events could overflow onto the Turtles. So if you haven't been reading the comics and all of a sudden you see this other evil Utrom, now you won't get him mixed up with Krang, who, if you remember, is currently attached to Leatherhead, as we discussed earlier. And finally, real quick, Karai is currently leading the Foot Clan, and Shredder does not appear to want to be any part of that. He seems content with his new life. We'll have to see just exactly how Karai fits in all of this. All that we know about her right now is that she is giving supplies to the mutant town in exchange for some mutants of her own, and also the Rat King is watching her from the shadows. Okay, so this next part you're really going to want to check out. It's going to be super helpful in following along for the next few months to come. The reading order for the upcoming Armageddon game event has recently been posted by the legendary Tom Waltz on his Twitter page. I'll leave a link to it down below in the description. Let's go ahead and take a look at this reading order list so we can see exactly how this is going to roll out. So up at the top, we have what's come out so far, leading up to the actual Armageddon game. In July, we had Armageddon game opening moves part 1, and then issue 131 of the ongoing series. Then in August, we had the Armageddon game opening moves number 2. These were all setting the table for the Armageddon game, and it's pretty much all the stuff we've just discussed. And then now here in September, it looks like things are gonna get rolling real fast. So first up here in September, we have issue 132, which just came out. And then after that, the Armageddon game begins. We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Armageddon game number 1, and that looks to be here at the end of September. As we mentioned before, some websites have it as September 28th. Then we move on over to October, after that on the checklist, where it has issue 133 of the ongoing comics, followed by the Armageddon game number 2. Next we have November, which looks like is where they're going to be doing some side character stories that are happening during the events of the Armageddon game. And these side stories appear to be called Armageddon game The Alliance. So yeah, starting November releases, it looks like the first thing coming out will be the Armageddon game The Alliance number 1, which seems like will revolve around Karai, judging by the cover. And then after that, we have issue 134 of the ongoing series. Then we'll have the Armageddon game number 3. And it looks like at the end of the month, we'll have another side story with Armageddon game The Alliance number 2. Next we have December, which begins with issue 135 of the ongoing series, followed by the Armageddon game number 4, and then closing out December looks like will be another Alliance book, this time number 3. Then January we have issue 136 of the ongoing series, followed by the Armageddon game number 5, and closing out with Alliance number 4. February starts off with issue 137, followed by the Armageddon game number 6, and ending the month with Alliance number 5, which seems like will be the last Alliance book of these side stories, because looking into March, we only have issue 138 of the ongoing series and Armageddon game number 7. Then finally in April, it looks like this will all come to a close with issue 139 coming out first, and then Armageddon game number 8 closing the show. Wow, that was a lot. They were not kidding when they said this is going to be a massive Turtle story. I just wonder if they're going to be able to stay on schedule with so much coming out, but either way, I have no doubt this is going to be epic. Do not miss this. Even if you're only able to get the main Armageddon game 1 through 8 books, I bet they'll write it in a way where it's still possible to follow along by just picking up that main title. And one thing I'm not really sure of, and let me know down below if you know this, but how does one win the Armageddon game? I don't know if it's just something that I missed or maybe didn't pick up on, but I'm curious to see how the game is won. Let us know down below if you have any theories or if you know how that's actually done. But alright, that's it. I hope I didn't leave out too many details. I know there's still so many characters and story points that are currently going on that I didn't touch on, but I feel like the ones we discussed are the most crucial to know if you're going into this blind. But if there's something you think should be mentioned to help people follow along this next big Turtle story, then go ahead and leave it down below in the comments so so we can all check it out. I'm definitely going to cover this, so stay tuned for the reviews and the breakdowns starting after issue 1. This also seems like a good on-ramp to start reviewing the ongoing IDW comics once the Armageddon game is over. That way we can keep talking about this Turtles universe even after the game is completed. Alright, thanks everyone for watching. Hit subscribe, follow on all the socials, links are down below in the description, and I will see you guys in a little bit with another video. Take care.
Armed.